Good morning. This is Anna Crowe with the Get Real podcast, where CEOs, CMOs, and communications experts and leaders share their real advice. It's 5 questions under 9 minutes because we get to it real fast. So let's get to it. I'm so excited to introduce today's guest. Chad, could you please tell everyone who you are and what you do?
Absolutely, Anna. Chad Severson with Ergotron, and we manufacture medical carts, monitor arms, mobile desks. One way to think about it is we're really bringing ergonomics to the intersection of humans and technology. And we do that for productivity, but more importantly, wellness. So it's a great space to be in.
I love that you guys are doing that, especially today when we're working in different places, homes, bedroom office, home office, just trying to find that right space to feel good, not to mention productivity, efficiency, and all that. But to your point, the wellness piece is so crucial. So excited we get to chat with you today. I hear, Chad, from other executives that creating authentic connections with your customers and often employees can be challenging when there's a lot of noise out there. And I'd love to hear your take on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure, there's a lot of noise. I mean, one only needs to look at one's phone, right, to see the latest headlines on what's going on. But I think with regard to customers, I would say what allows us to rise above that is staying very focused on their problems and helping them solve their problems. As you point out, we've all been required to think differently about work. We're working from all different locations. And in many cases, after that's happened, after a period of time, people start to exhibit some issues, some because of the ergonomics, trying to work on a laptop on a couch only works so long. And so we can bring solutions to those issues. And so I think that's what allows us to be very connected to our customers. With regard to our employees, it's communicate. I think that has just been a real focus for us during the pandemic.
Absolutely. That's fantastic advice. Do you have any other real advice for other leaders? Is there anything else that you think is important?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say just let me spend a little bit more time on that communication, because I think that's my number one takeaway for other leaders based on the experience of the pandemic. And I would say specifically it's around I would challenge any leader to look at their communication plans within their organization and really say, are we doing enough? Can we challenge them to get better? I can tell you we've done that at Ergotron. So specifically what we do is, as a leadership team, we talk about what we want to communicate, and then we communicate to our managers. So these are the people that lead other people. And then we cascade that again to all employees just to make sure we're in alignment. It's just so important, given that we're, as you pointed out, there's a lot of distractions. Most people are working remote, and as a global organization, super important to stay aligned. And that's what I found to be successful in kind of our world.
That's such a great point. I just finished rereading The Rockefeller Habits, and Vern Harnish talks a lot about reiterating the message, right? So get to a point where your employees get annoyed because you've said it so many times. But it's such a great testament to what you were saying about communicating and sometimes over communicating and making sure that clear message gets trickled down, and maybe sometimes over and over again, so that it's concise and not confusing, right?
So very true. I mean, that's a great example of, I feel like if I've said it 5 times, it's starting to get old, but the reality is, as you point out, a lot of things going on in people's lives, and mentioning something once on one slide in an all-employee meeting is not enough. That's my big lesson of the pandemic.
Yep, that's fantastic advice. Thank you for sharing that. Well, before we get to our final question, which gives us a glimpse of how you got started, are there any other successful executives such as yourself that you would like to acknowledge on the podcast or give a shout out to?
Top of mind, I would recognize the leadership team I work with here at Ergotron. As I sit back and look at, we really rolled with the punches. I mean, we all were forced to rethink work and bring up remote work overnight, and we were able to do that. We put ourselves on a growth trajectory this year, and what I'm most proud of this team is they were able to do that and bring our employees along. And I would cite as an example, we pulse our employees from an engagement survey standpoint, and we were able to actually improve engagement survey scores during the pandemic. And I thought, that's really a compliment to the team here. So I would give those folks that I work with a shout out. They're doing a great job.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. And such a great testament to you and the leaders in the organization. Great to hear it.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. Well, our last question, as I said, is more of a fun one. You've had a really wonderful career, but can you tell us how you got started? What was your first job?
Yeah, so this takes me back to, let's see, 8th grade in northern Wisconsin, which is where I grew up. As I looked around and saw some other of my peers, getting, stocking jobs at supermarkets and things, I was like, how can I earn some money? So I applied for a number of things. And what came up first was planting Christmas trees, believe it or not. Northern Wisconsin is kind of known for Christmas trees and supplying them around the Midwest. And so kind of think about going out at the beginning of the day with literally hundreds of trees and planting them. And what the cool thing was, at the end, you could really see your progress, and you could actually go back in a year or two and go, hey, I had something to do with that. So that was my first job.
Oh, that is a very cool one. I'd have to say you're our first guest who had that job, especially in 8th grade. So very cool. And all the joy you brought to all the families around the world years later, right? When they were able to experience that tree. That's great.
Exactly.
Very cool. Well, I so appreciate you joining us, Chad. How could people get a hold of you or learn more about the company or what you're up to?
Absolutely. So www.ergotron.com. We are really dedicated to helping out folks from a wellness and productivity standpoint, especially during the pandemic. Don't hesitate to reach out.
I love it. Thank you again for joining, and thanks everyone for tuning in. This is Anna Crowe. For more insights, visit us at crowepr.com. Thanks so much. Make it a great day.